So now we know at long last who will be joining England in the semi-finals, and this group really has had everything and very fitting end to it. A very low-scoring thriller, really, and one match that truth be told could have gone anyway right up until the final over. That's how close it was. But 1-6 from Marco Jansen has sealed South Africa's spot in the semi-finals. So that is joining me. So that what a match! What a way to start your Monday morning. I mean, this match had everything. It had wickets falling, it had good batting, it had a rain interruption. Absolutely stupendous way to pretty much end the Super 8 for this particular group.
I think above anything and everything, one of the things that continues is that the co-hosts of the, this T20 World Cup, or rather, I should say, the hosts of the T20 World Cup, their, I think, poor run across the history of the T20 World Cup continues. Once again, they haven't been
Mm.
able to qualify for the semi. Same was the case in 2022, where Australia were knocked out in the Super 12 stage, and in 2021 it was India, but the tournament was played in UAE. Then in 2016 it was once again India who got knocked out in the semis. But one thing I think has to be commendable and really, really deserves a big, big mention here. It's the captaincy of Aiden Markram and South Africa being able to pull off those nervy moments in the 7 matches that they have played so far. Mind you, they have won all their 7 matches. They're unbeaten in the tournament. Only the second team after India to stay unbeaten so far. I think they are really developing a habit, which is something that eluded them for most of the, for the last 20 to 25 years now. We were talking about the last time they won an ICC knockout event was way back in 1998, which was the induction of the ICC Champions Trophy. Since then, they have choked in those big moments, be it any of those, be it the 2015 World Cup or the 2007 World Cup. But this looks a very different South African team. I think probably the journey started from the 2023 One Day World Cup, where they did very, very well in the league stage, even pushed Australia to the limit in the semi-final. Mind you, it wasn't
Hmm.
really, an easy ride for Australia to get over the line while chasing those 215 odd. So yes, Australia developing a very, sorry, South Africa developing a very good habit of stealing those, very close moments, something that we haven't seen in the past. And I think for me, I would say from now on, I think South Africa are really one of the favorites to lift the T20 World Cup.
Oh no, I have to agree with you there. I remember a lot of us had ruled out South Africa, and the main reason we ruled them out was not because looking at them that man for man they have a poor squad. No, man for man that 11 is one of the strongest 11s. It's a very power packed middle order. Their only obvious weakness is the lack of all rounders, but they do have batters or bowlers who can bat, so they kind of make up for that as well. But other than that, the only thing that really held them back, in our eyes at least, was the fact that come the close moments, they tend to bottle games. This time around, though, I think they've won more close games than they've ever won in their history. Because pretty much every win, I cannot remember a victory which South Africa have had in this tournament which has been dominant and convincing. It hasn't been. More often than not, they've ended up struggling over the line. But you know what? It's a great trait to have. It's a good trait to be able to know how to close out games, especially in conditions this tricky. And I'll give you an example as to why I think that's a good thing. I remember last year's T20 World Cup, or the last edition, England towards the end were very much only getting over the line. I mean, they needed to win. I remember a game against Sri Lanka to ensure that they qualified for the semis. When they did that, it wasn't a convincing win in the sense they didn't go all guns blazing or play the England way. No, they didn't. They played sensible, centered cricket because the conditions were such. The only game where I remember them blazing to a target was against India in the semis, and that's because you had pristine batting conditions and the target wasn't a big one. So they just went for it, and India, of course, had a very toothless bowling lineup at that point, so you didn't get wickets. In the final, also, I mean, it was their bowling that kind of won them the game. Their batting, sure, they got over the line, but you needed the cool head of a Ben Stokes to get you over the line. This South African team also, more often than not, they'll have enough players there who can keep their head. I think today, really, if you think about it, the only player who lost his head was Tristan Stubbs. And he's probably one of the youngest players in that lineup. So I kind of understand that, and I also understand the rationale of his shot. He was thinking that
Yeah.
Chase was the one bowler who was getting everyone. And I think, by the way, we talk about captaincy issues with the West Indies and Robin Paul. Why did he wait so long to bring in Rustin Chase? I don't quite understand. Were you worried that Klaasen would go after them? Well, then he murdered Hudikesh Moti. So it didn't really matter. You may as well have tried Roston Chase, who's probably one of your more underrated spinners. And I mean, we'll discuss that in a bit. But South Africa, they are looking really, really strong. And I'm sorry, if you give them pristine batting conditions, they've shown that they can
Yeah.
wreak havoc. These are tricky conditions. They've done well, not only did their bowlers do well in the first innings, but their batters have done well to get them over the line. So, it's really, really good. I think it's very impressive. The South Africa look the real deal.
South Africa really looked the real deal, and you talked about Rodman Powell's captaincy here. I think it basically boils down to the inexperience factor, or maybe other experienced members just coming in and having a chat with him, because I'm not really sure that was the case wherein there was a subtle or maybe a direct discussion about the tactics that are to be used for the remaining South Africa batters. You look at the way Tristan Stubbs was playing. He played a very mature now until he played that rash shot. But I think we'll really have to understand the logic behind it, because he wanted to finish the match as soon as possible. Because when you are in
Hmm.
those, close moments or the nervy moments, you would really want to make sure that you get out of that nervous phase and take your team over the line. So that's absolutely fine. But I think one of the weak, or I would say one of the alleged weak suits that we were talking about South Africa just before the beginning of the T20 World Cup was that they're just restricted to maybe five bowlers, and Aiden Markram is the skipper, who is basically their sixth bowler. But you look at the way how they have performed, be it the conditions in New York or in West Indies, they have really, really stepped up to the plate. Kagiso Rabada coming into the T20 World Cup, he didn't really do well in the IPL and even missed the last few matches due
Absolutely.
to some injury. But then you look at the way how he has stepped up. Then you look at Anrik Nokia, who was actually taken to cleaners in the IPL. Now, how he has stepped up. Then Keshav Maharaj is actually proving to be their clutch player now. Not just with the ball, but with the bat too. He even won them a game.
Exactly.
I think it was against Pakistan in the 2023 One Day World Cup, where they won by one wicket. So that is the best thing that is happening with South Africa, that they are not just reliant on those power hitters to get the job done in the shortest format of the game, which is say maybe Quinton de Kock, Henrik Klassen, or Aiden Markram for that matter. I think they are a
Adam Miller.
well-rounded team. One of the best things that's happening here is that they do not carry any extra burden of the past, something that maybe was very much a case with the AB de Villiers or the Faf du Plessis there, when when I think they were the leaders of that South African team during the 2015-2016 time. So this is, I think, one of the best things about South Africa. And if you look at, I think, West Indies, I think obviously it's disappointing for them and for their fans also, because for the first time since 2016, West Indies look to be the real deal. They really look to be the hot favorites to
Hmm.
clinch their third T20 title. But then I am not really worried about it, because as a I would say, as a media professional, one of the things that I can say about West Indies from a very confident perspective is that I think they have a very good future, because they have a good team. They have the likes of Brandon King, then you have Nicholas Pooran, Robman Powell is still very young, and then you have Roston Chase, Shea Hope, who has upskilled himself into a hitter. Then you have all these
Exactly.
bowlers coming in. I think it's just about persisting with this team and making sure that they just stay in the thick of things and get over the line in those close finishes in the bilateral series that West Indies will play in the future, because that will help them to gain that experience to be a much more fighting team in those mega events, or maybe in those nervy moments of the mega events. So that's where I think with West Indies, the future is bright. Everything is good. It's unfortunate that they couldn't really make the semis, but then I think they have a good team and they should just look to build on it. Because just from the day, I would say South Africa were better. Couple of decisions or couple of tactics from West Indies were definitely questionable, but then these things happen in cricket.
Yeah, I think with West Indies, I don't think their personnel is the problem. I think leadership might be. I'm still unconvinced by Roston Chase, Robin Powell, the captain. Because again,
Yeah.
if you're looking at, say, the last game, also, I remember they turned to, who was it that they turned to? I'm forgetting. It was they turned to
Mm. Shane, not sure what's the issue.
Siddharth is not video froze. Yeah, Sri, thank you. I think it's back on track now, but Siddharth has unfortunately left the chat. I think he'll be back in a couple of minutes. I'll just make my point quickly when I was talking about, let's say, South Africa, West Indies' leadership. I think there are issues with the way, Siddharth is back, and
Yeah, I think there was some network
there was
issue.
some
Yeah,
issue. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's what I thought as well. You were back online, and then the point I was making was that I'm not a fan of Robin the captain as of yet. I think in the last match also, I remember he
yeah.
had 2 overs from Russell, didn't turn to Russell. Today, I think he was wiser. He went to Russell early, but he turned to Russell Chase a little too late. Chase, I think, in these conditions was superb. And if you had turned to him earlier, I think wicket was the only way of winning this game. 123, 17 overs, not a big chase. You needed wickets early. And if you had gotten to their bowling quicker, then maybe I think you would have stood a chance of bottling up the runs. But two things really changed the game. One was, of course, and this is again in hindsight, I don't know what he was thinking. He went to Gurukesh Moti against Heinrich Klaassen. The thinking was maybe that he did his wicket, but I think Klaassen finished the game in that over only. Because in hindsight, at that point in time, the asking rate was never the issue. And you would have needed stunning bowling from the West Indies and stunning captaincy from Robin Pal to actually end up, taking that game. It went deep, but I don't think 5 of 6. I don't think South Africa would have been too trouble. Anyway, I think there's a big congrats to the South Africa side as well. They've done really well throughout this tournament, defied all expectations. And I think we can take a few comments because again, I'm seeing comments from a lot of people praising the
Yeah.
Proteas. You've got Priyanka here saying, Markram is fire as a captain. He's not a third. He's won the Under 19 World Cup and 2 SA20s. Final loading for them. Who will you favor in the India-England semi? First up, Priyanshu, I'll have to ask you to hold your horses. We don't quite know whether it will be an India-England semi. At this point, the group
Yes.
which India in also are very much open. So whichever we'll have to wait and watch. But I think neither of the teams that India will be facing should be easy ones in that regard. Because I think England also, if you give them the right conditions, are stupendously dangerous, and the South Africa side are proving to be very tricky customers.
Yeah.
Umayyak
Mayank.
Madan now saying that South Africa tried everything to choke, but they made it. I don't think it's them holding nerves, but actually themselves making the game difficult for them. Afghanistan versus South Africa will hit. I don't know about that, Mayank. Again, we'll have to see how it is that Afghanistan can make it there to begin with,
But
but
I
I
think
think it'll be an
Afghanistan will
interesting
really
one
have
for
to.
sure. Ashish Dhar, with a
Yeah.
question which I think, Siddharth, you would also love to answer. Will Indian batsmen
Yeah.
adopt a more conservative approach given India also face chances of elimination?
No, no, not really. I think this Indian team is really set on the template that
Siddharth,
they
your
have
audio is
decided
not,
to play.
there's no audio. No audio.
Okay,
Are you muted?
just no, no, not really. Just a sec. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can't.
Okay, just a
Anyway, I'll
second.
take a couple of comments while that gets sorted. Chaitanya Bagga says that
Yeah.
South Africa win most of their matches defending totals. South Africa bowlers, their most crucial part in winning matches as compared to their batsmen. All matches less than
Can you hear
140
me
in
now?
defending, batting
Can
is
you hear me
complete.
now?
No audio.
Can you hear me now?
I really have to
Okay.
ask people in the comments, is both of our audios there, or are we just, are we just talking to ourselves? I need to ask. So Sai Dattu is able to hear, okay. There is an audio issue on my end. All right. It would seem that it is indeed my problem. Let me try sorting that out. Okay, so everyone can hear us. Perfect. Audio is fine. All right.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah, so that seems both audios are fine. Apparently, it's my issue.
Okay. So, yeah, one of the questions that I think the viewers asked that will India adopt a conservative approach against the Aussies, knowing that the semi-final qualification is on the line? I don't think that that's going to be the case because Indians have adopted a template and they're going to stick to it no matter what. They are going to go for the runs and they're going to make sure that even if they lose wickets, the runs keep on coming. So that should not be a problem. And that's one of the best things about the Rohit Sharma led team, that they are decided on what they want to do. They are decided on the playing 11 they want to have, irrespective of the form that someone is in. So that's where I think there is some stability. There is backing, something that wasn't really the case in the past also. So I think, yeah, with India, it's going to be a very set approach.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, we'll take your leave now. We've been discussing this match. Congrats once again to South Africa. Very well done to them. As for West Indies, well, they ensure that the host heartbreak continues on in the T20 World Cup. So thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate your love. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Don't forget also, stay tuned. Plenty more coming your way through the day. Right now, though, from Siddharth and me, it is goodbye.